One of the things people will notice in this interview has emerged as a theme, and it's something that when I was doing a bit of research before I asked you if you do the interview, made me interested to talk to you, is that you haven't just played all these different games, but I notice you are someone who, you said it earlier, essentially to you, fighting games at their base have these core concepts that just exist, and then it's like, how do they manifest in this game though? And it's actually clearly one of the things that's part of your quest, right, is to master those aspects and then figure out in this game. Like, I mean, you even said it earlier that when you play a specific game, you're not really just looking at the character, you're sort of almost doing like the archetype, right? It's this type of fighter that does these things, and then what people will learn from any sport is actually bigger concepts like that apply across other games, etc. Like how offense manages defense and what you do when you all these concepts, right? That's something you're into.
Yeah, I do. Like I've been playing Marvel Rivals a lot. Like I mean, I can play shooters too, but like it has to really pique my interest. I like playing Marvel Rivals because I can play with Magneto, and I kind of like, I'm on Twitter constantly complaining, but also putting jokes about how Magneto can't fly, and he's like historically a character that can. But he's a tank, and I understand they don't want him to be able to fly because he's a tank, whatever. But I can play that, and as a, you know, I'm running around as Magneto. I'm not healing, but like protecting my teammates with the bubbles and stuff, the shields. But I'm also like he's like a mid-range sniper. Like he can't snipe, but he's very long range and does good damage and stuff. But I'm adding to the team for that. So it's like playing different archetypes, or you can play Wolverine and just rush down and go crazy, or Black Panther or something. Or I actually like playing Captain America. He feels like playing like God of War or something in Marvel Rivals. Like I think every character that's like grounded like him should have like a turbo run and stuff. But yeah, all these different ways to play. Like say you play in shooters, you play sniper, or you can play, you know, run and gun, or you play the middle of that with rifles and stuff. There's so many different ways. And then you got like people who are crazy who just run around and start knifing people or punching them or whatever. But there are different aspects and ways of that. And then of course, you have like search and destroy, because it's so much different than playing like deathmatch, search and destroy, and all that. And there's so many different strategies for that. So I just like the variety of strategies. It's like going to the buffet. You want to try and engage with everything. You don't just go to buffet to eat like rolls or just eat chicken. Like, why would you like just do that when you could just go to Popeyes or something for that? So with gaming, so I don't get bored. I like just trying everything. Like, I'm notorious for grinding the game to a point where I feel like, all right, I can go win a tournament in it. But then I'm bored because I've like immersed myself so much into it. So then I'll go play something else and do the same thing in that, because it's just the variety of strategies and just different ways to think, and it keeps your brain going. To me, I just like the variety. They did a good job, even though fighting games are very similar how they play. But it's just different how you get to different conclusions. Like living many lives. I mean, eventually we're all going to die, but it's how you get there.
Because along these lines, it's why I can see why you wrote a guide. If people don't know, he wrote a guide called Game Fu. And as far as I can tell, you've intentionally done this. It isn't just like, it's not like a guide to Street Fighter. It's not a guide to Tekken or whatever. You've tried to make it the essence of things that if people learn these core concepts and how to train and how to think in the game, it will apply to whatever game you play, right? And by the way, you can get this as an ebook also on Amazon if you want the physical book. Yeah, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man. It's on Amazon, it's on Barnes & Noble, it's on every bookstore in the world, so you can get it. You can also get it on
ebook or whatever.
I have it like an ebook too. So yeah, like my whole thing is it's hard to do constant lessons with people all the time, like making time for that. And I rather just stream and people just come to the stream, and if you want to like ask me stuff or train with me or whatever, play, it's much easier then, because when I'm streaming, that's when I'm playing. Like I don't play off stream that much unless I'm like maybe recording a video or doing something. And so to set time up for like lessons, I have to take time away from that. And I just don't like doing that. And then I know I can't be around all the time, and I can't be around forever. So I was like, I want to have all this stuff in a place that everybody can get it. Because I know like unless they have like some freaking 4D, 5D fighting game dimension, then I might have to revisit it. But like for 2D and 3D, I wrote it for all those planes. So for every type of fighting game, for 2D, 3D, arena, platformers, all of that, it covers everything, because I can play and know how to play all those games. Like I know how to play Smash 2. It's like I know how to play so many games that I don't enter, but I could, and I have like clips and stuff just to prove like to myself that I can play them. But it's not to like glaze myself, it's just to understand what and just in case I want to like go and compete in something, like you never know, a really good platform fight game that I might want to play might come out, or a really good arena fighter, which is what I'm playing right now. Like I'm playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which has been amazing, by the way. People constantly try to say that this game is not a competitive fighter or whatever.
Just because it's Dragon Ball, I'm guessing they think it's like for little kids or something. What's the angle?
They say that because it's like Dragon Ball. So here's the thing, like they say that for this game, but it's very disingenuous because this series, Sparking Zero, is like the Budokai Tenkaichi series, and that game came out in like 2007. Right. And there's a big Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3 scene that's competitive. Like the game is one of the deepest fighting games out there that doesn't get the credit either. But it came out at a time where a lot of people couldn't play it. Like the only way you could play online was on Wii or playing on Parsec, which just came out recently that people could play online. But the game is like super in depth. I'll send you the document where you can just like read all the different stuff just from Budokai Tenkaichi 3 that it has, so you can see what I'm talking about. But people will try to put these games in a box and say it's just pressing square, or whatever. So they get that reputation by like newer players and stuff that are casual, that don't know anything. So then they come play Sparking Zero. So many people are like, oh, this is not a competitive game, but they don't know, like, there's people who are already playing this game competitively before they even knew about this. It's like saying, oh, Street Fighter's not a competitive game, or people saying that Smash wasn't, even though there are so many people playing it. Yeah, just because they decided we're going to turn items off, which is very similar to Sparking Zero. They have items, you can turn them off and you just fight regularly. But Sparking Zero has like this destruction point system, which I don't know if you're familiar with Dragon Ball, but okay, so in Dragon Ball is anime, and all the characters have different like power levels where there's
the characters. I didn't mean the game, though. I've never played the game.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like what they do with the destruction point system is that they regulate how strong a character is. Say like Vegito is a 10, while Goku is like a 5, and then you got Mr. Satan is like a 1. So you have 15 points in destruction point mode to make a team. So you can either make a team of 5, but you gotta like spread it out with the points.
Right.
But because you can't have like Vegito and Gogeta on the same team.
Sure.
You got to do it like, actually you can.
You have to balance it out. You have to have a weaker one to have the strongest.
Yeah, exactly. For them to power up. So it's like, you got to make a really intricate team. So like, that is a really great.
Oh, so that's strategy in itself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of strategy. So some people might have a team of like weaker characters that you can. So if you tag a character out, that character, while they're tagged out, they'll heal their health. But if that character dies, I mean, the character's just dead, and then they tally it up to like how many characters you lost, or if you just lost the whole game in that match. But all these characters have different strategies. Like Krillin and like Master Roshi have these power-ups to where when they turn them on, they can keep constantly like vanishing every time you try to hit them, like auto vanish. But there's a way to stop it. You can grab them or hit them with like a fireball, or you can do like a parry to where if they hit you, then and you parry them, they'll knock them out of this state, so they can't use it anymore. But then you got characters who just bully the entire team, like Broly, shooting key blasts at people, hitting them with super moves, and then you can't hit him because he's so much more powerful in the destruction point system. So when you do hit him, it doesn't do anything. So you got to get a stronger character just to fight him. So you got to make sure your team is well-rounded, because you might end up fighting a giant. There are literal giants in the game that, like, some characters you're not about to use like Krillin to fight Super Saiyan or Great Ape Saiyan Vegeta, or because he's like some big character, super strong or whatever. I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to be easy. But the thing is, like, all this stuff regulates all the different power in the game, and it also creates like archetypes. You have androids in the game, and they constantly recover energy over time in the match, so they don't have to sit around like power up manually like the rest of the characters. So they can keep attacking you and keep putting the pressure on you, but you can still beat them, because if you like outplay the opponent using an android, they still can't power up. So like if you're able to outplay them, then it's hard for them to keep up if you're just like stronger than them. So it's like all these different cool strategies in the game. And then the developers have been updating the game constantly. Like, we just got to update this morning, fixing bugs and stuff. So they're actively listen to the community and working to fix the game and the bugs and stuff to make it a good fighting game, because the other games were before it.
There's a type of food in the UK and Australia as well, but I don't know what the analogy would be in America. But when I explain the concept, you'll understand. It's a food spread. It's a type of vegetable spread you put onto some bread. It's called Marmite, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
Okay.
And it's made with...
This sounds like what they have in Australia.
Yeah, it's called Vegemite there. Basically, the famous thing about it, though, is because it's made with yeast, it's got a flavour where I'm using it for the analogy. The reason it's always used in an analogy is the flavour is so strong, you either really love it or you can't even handle it. Like, put it this way, I can't even eat a taste of it, mate. It's like, I couldn't eat it. It's so, but the people who love it, I believe them, they really love it. They think it's the best shit ever, right? I feel like from my exploration, you are this type of a person. It feels like people either really are drawn to you and they think you're awesome, or they hate you and you're the ultimate villain to them, right?
Yeah. Dang, yeah. It is kind of like that. Yeah, actually, yeah. And why
do you think that is? Why is that being your experience?
Maybe that could. Okay, so my second grade teacher told me. She said, Carl, you either take things like, you always take things to extreme. So I'm either like, I really don't care extreme, or I really care extreme. So like, I'm like that with food. If I don't like that shit, I don't like it. If I like it, I love it. It's just, I don't mean to be like that. It's just like certain things I don't jive with as much.
Because along these lines, like, it's funny that I saw you do have certain people who just hate on you and try and diminish you. But at the same time, one thing I found that I think is quite unique in your area is the people I have known who were top competitors in your esports games, this particular field of fighting games, a lot of them actually the opposite of you. They're very secretive. And if they get some tech, they never share it. Sometimes they're only sharing it with like their one practice partner. Some of them are careful who they practice with or what they show before the tournament. You've, as you said in this interview, you've done stuff like you've just coached people when you're not playing, or you've had like mentees that have come up that you've mentored and brought through the game stuff. You have more of an open mindset in that sense.
Yeah, because all right, this is how I feel. I can't be the best if I always try to prepare myself for this scenario. If my opponent knows everything that I know and is as good as me, I still have to be confident that I can beat them. There's still something I can do to beat them or outthink them. So I don't practice thinking that, oh, my opponent's not going to know anything or know what I know. I have to assume they are, because if I come across an opponent that's like that, I can't let it throw me off guard. You want to be ready for something like that. So I'm like, I'm ready for someone to be as good as me. So then when I want to, one, use that as a way to just like test myself even more. Like, I hate to, like, as a Dragon Ball fan, like, I definitely embody that same mentality. Like, I want to play against people who are really strong and like test myself and see if I can even be that good. And that's how it's always been. Like, even now I feel like that. And it's fun. The rush playing against someone who's really good. And then not only that, the game looks good. And the game's really fun when you play against someone who's playing properly. So that's how it is for me.
Because along these lines, I feel like another aspect, if you notice, I started with how did like the scene change and the games change. Yeah. Another thing about the culture around fighting games is, a part of this is just online culture now. It feels like maybe because the average person online's younger, bro, they've totally lost track of how old people are. Like, the joke is, like, think about American culture. Bro, they call people on who are 30 now. That's supposed to be like the guys like 45. Yeah. So I want to ask this, which is, I feel like a downside, the folly of youth, as you might say in English, is they always want to believe everything now is the best. Whoever's the best now is the best. And unfortunately, the other part is they always want the old people to be shit. They always want the old head to be, oh, you're stuck in the past. So I notice, I feel like you get this, right?
People got to be gone. They always want to get rid of the old guard. Like,
do you get this feeling? I feel like they want to just tell you, like, oh, that was some old shit. Who cares what you did? Do you feel like this is a thing?
It's always been, dude. Literally the day after I won Evo, any of the times they always was like, oh yeah, this shit didn't matter. Such and such wasn't there. Blah blah blah. So I don't think it matters like at any point. But yeah, it is like that, and it sucks because there's a lot that they can gain value from the past. Like, when I came into the scene, I couldn't have been like, oh, yeah, fuck all these old guys and OGs and stuff. No, I was literally looking through everything that they was doing just because I wanted to, one, be up to date. And I really look up to all those dudes. They did a great job at just like pushing the scene, getting to where it was before I got in. And even to now, they're all still like very much around. But it's just all the footage that I saw and everything, like I still go back and watch like the Evo 2004 DVE trailer. That was the first thing that one of the first things that I saw, and I was like, damn, I want my gameplay to be highlighted like this, and it ended up being like that in 2006 trailer. Every DOA clip is me bodying somebody, but I was like, just happy with that. I didn't think about, oh yeah, I'm going to win the tournament and stuff. I just wanted to like showcase myself, but I did have people I wanted to beat, but it wasn't so much like even thinking about being the champion. It's just like getting past the next stage. Like you don't want to think too far ahead, I guess. And I wasn't thinking like that.
Because if someone did just a basic search online, they look at some of the the bigger picture things about you, they're going to find all the great things, like all the Evo championships, different games. Yeah. You did it in 2D and 3D. You were in different areas of esports. But I notice the young heads all try to do that thing where they go, his whole career is over because he lost that match to Sonicfox. Now, here's what's confused me, Perfect Legend. When I looked it up, it's not even like it's a world championship. It's a bloody exhibition match. Yeah, why does this one game haunt you? Why does it haunt you, bro? What is this?
Yeah, so it's an exhibition in a game, in a version of a game we can't even play anymore.
All right.
And we've played like several times after that, like in settings like that. We didn't, it wasn't like a full-blown exhibition because like I could never get him to play me again because he's like, every time like, well, why don't we just play it instead of you just talking or saying something? He's like, oh, well, I only want to play it if it's for a 401k plan or something. Like he said this, like there are tweets online that you can find. I'm pretty sure I ain't deleted. I didn't say that. I'm just like, okay, cool. Or he'll try to get somebody else to play me in his defense, like he's Frieza and Dragon.
Right, okay.
Like being
his champion, right?
Yeah, at the same time, I don't care. Like, I don't care to be known as that dude in Mortal Kombat. Like, that's just, I don't care. Like, I'm looking at, okay, Virtua Fighter's about to come out. I hope Esports World Cup picks it up or something. And then probably like playing Tekken and still like playing Sparking Zero, whatever. I didn't care about that, but in Mortal Kombat X, in future versions of that version of the game, dude, there are so many versions of Mortal Kombat X. There's Mortal Kombat X, then all the DLC that came out, each DLC was a different version of the game, and then MKXL, which is I don't know, I guess Mortal Kombat Extra Large. I don't know what the L stood for, but then that game came out and it had its own versions and like DLC coming out during that, and it changed and went through its own changes, but every time we played after, like, literally when we played in the exhibition, I've beaten him outside of tournament. Like, the last time we played in tournament was that year when Katana was still busted and everything was still the way it was because it was still that version of the game. But we had not played in tournament in MKX from then until the end of that game. But we played in, like, matches online, offline and stuff, and he's lost in all of them. But I mean, whatever. It might seem like, yeah, I'm bragging about it now or whatever. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just like mentioning it. But I didn't go like, oh yeah, blah, because I didn't care. And the thing is, like, I'll say this. When Mortal Kombat X was first like shown, I was hyped, of course, as Mortal Kombat. I thought they was going to go off the Mortal Kombat 9 type thing. This is going back to what we were talking about earlier as far as like how they change games. And I was already getting sponsor deals and all this stuff to play Mortal Kombat X, and then like the game comes out and I see it and I'm seeing how much they're changing it, and then they're like, oh, well, we don't want you to be able to do this no more, and I'm like, this is directly like y'all are targeting me because this character was doing this legacy wise before I even touched Kung Lao,
right?
Way before like I even touched this game. So y'all are like, well, we don't want you to be able to do this no more, and this, that, and the third. And it took like until I think the Jason update, the Kung Lao was actually functional. And his Tempest variation and all that stuff was better. But then they super buffed other characters who were bad matchups for him, like Katana. And then the characters that I had to fight that character had bugs to where, okay, check this out. Scorpion had a combo bug to where he's not allowed to do more than 20%. No matter how many hits he does or how he hits you, he can't do more than 20%. I don't know what that was. But the thing is, all these fighting games have bugs and stuff, so I can't really like fault them. No one, that's not intentional, but they left it in for a long time or long enough. But after that, like when MKXL came out, well, it wasn't just then. Like we played before that, but he wouldn't pick Katana on me anymore. He would just pick Aaron Black, Takedo, and some other characters. And Tanya, who he was main in all those characters, make it seem like, oh, I'm only playing. No, pick all these characters to beat specific people. Like, I know what it is because I do it too.
Sure.
That's what it was. But when we played, I beat him that time, and then we played. MKXL came out. He was playing with Sector and Melina, all these characters. I'm like going through all of them, and I streamed it, but I never I didn't save it and upload. I didn't care. I was like, so what? Because to me, it's not that big of a deal. I care more about actually like winning the tournament or something like that. But I was trying to lead up to saying like I didn't enjoy MKX that much like that, even though it was a big game and people loved it. I didn't like it because of the style of game. Like, it was very one-dimensional as far as like everybody can just run across the screen in a blazing speed and start applying offense. It started taking away from the variety of archetypes and playstyles. Everybody's basically playing the same and doing the same thing with each character, or they're trying to basically get to the same. It's more than just, deleting their life bar. It's, all right, we're going to do it the exact same way. We're all going to run down the hill and then jump into the pool in the exact same way. Every character is going to do it with different animations, but it's going to be like the same way. And it homogenizes how everybody plays and takes away from like the spacing game. Like, you can still space, but it's like you walk around a little bit and you just run in. And depending on if a character is meter or something, they might be able to disrespect neutral by totally armoring through whatever, not caring about anything. And it's just, to me, took away the cerebral gameplay of what I enjoyed. So as much as like I was playing it, I didn't enjoy playing it. And if people think I'm lying, I never turned MKX on. I never turn MK11 on. I might turn MK1 on sometimes when people ask me and say, hey, try this out. Like, when T1000 comes out, I'm definitely trying him. I'm a big Terminator fan, and that's one of my favorite like villain characters. But yeah, like, they cling on to this because I think it's a lot of people that it could be one of three types of people. They were either fans of mine, they're not fans anymore, and they're just like disappointed or whatever, how they feel, and so they start just trying to clown me or something. Or they might literally generally hate me for real, or in the are supersonic fans or something. Or three, they're just trolls and they have nothing better to do. But it's weird because like people will come and like bother me for no reason. I'm like, dude, you don't have like women or nothing. You ain't got a significant other or anything. You don't have a job. You like what do you trying to make me feel bad about losing in a game?
By the way, along these lines, look, you've obviously had a lot of success. And as I said, you've shared the wealth. You've tried to give your knowledge to other people. You've helped them. Are you someone where obviously the perception is the hater's going to say you're a bad loser? But it sounds to me like it's not just losing. It's very specific things. Like if you think the game had a flaw or something was unfair in it, yet you're a kind of a purist.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like I look at it like I think the better player should always win, and not the game should choose that. But
No.
The game should be set up in a way to where it's like that. I don't think anybody should get a crutch or anything. I don't think any aspect of the game should be easier. Imagine it was like, you know what? We need to have more people playing in the NBA. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to lower the rim so more people can dunk, more people can get deals and highlights and all that stuff. And then it will be less of stress on players' knees and legs to jump that high. And then as they fall down the gravity, and it might increase their longevity or something, right? But then you open the door. So now everybody's like hella good, or it might appear that way. But then again, I think the taller players will still dominate, even if it was like a 8-9 foot rim or something. But that's the point I'm making, is like it opens the door for more stuff in a like simpler way. It's not like, and I don't think they need to dumb anything down in any game. I think they just need a better way of teaching everybody how to play. Right. Hey, this is what you should be doing to do this. Like, y'all got all these tutorials for these freaking single player games. I don't get how some of these same people who say the fighting games are so hard, or any game is so hard, but they can play games like Dark Souls to their blue in the face, Aryan shit, and Diablo and all these games. They be playing Rocket League. Don't tell me that you can't do some of this stuff. And I also, what bothers me, I hate when people put limitations on themselves based on what other people say. Like, for example, reactions, right? People are always like, well, you got to be born with reactions. Well, maybe everybody I've taught has a high midi-chlorian count because they must be Jedis being able to react to the shit that I teach them how to react to. It's a muscle. Like, if I tell you, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face watch out for my fist, you're going to react to that shit. Sure. You're going to wait for me to do something like that. If it's blindly and you're not looking for it, yeah, you're going to get hit. But it's different when you're locked in looking for something. If that was the case, and we all need to be blessed by God to be able to react to stuff, then nobody will be driving in the world. As dangerous as that is, as much as it is a regular, common activity that we engage in every day. So I don't believe in that. Now, yeah, I do know that your reactions can deteriorate over time, just like your muscles can deteriorate over time, just like food can get old. But if you put it in the refrigerator, it stays alive for long enough. Or you put it in the freezer, it's there for a long time. So we preserve ourselves properly and like work on that stuff, like going to the gym and all that, eating the right food. If you eating like shit, you're going to feel like shit, you're going to play like shit, you're going to think like shit, you're going to react like shit. That's just how it is. You have to be always conditioning yourself. I've avoided so many accidents driving because of how I train myself in playing games.
Right. By the way, do you actually think, because I'll tell you from my world, like obviously I play a lot of the shooters, for example, I can tell you that like it's actually a very overrated aspect, even though they're called shooters. Actually, some of the best players aren't actually even the people with insane aim. They might even have a normal human's aim. It's just that they have like everything else, you know, like the way they do it, the technique. Now, obviously you do get the freak that comes along who's the equivalent of like whatever Randy Moss was in the NFL or something, where they're just super athletic. In fighting games, the absolute best people of all time do they all have to have a certain mechanical threshold? Are there some that were a bit more everyday and they were just very clever in their mind? What would you say?
It's a combination of all that, because some stuff, like it depends on how the game is developed. The game might be developed for a specific rewarding a certain skill. Like if you're good at just practicing a sequence and just landing this sequence and just mixing it up a little bit, then they'll probably be great at that game, because you might not have to worry about so many aspects of like playing the neutral as much. You really just might need one hit. Right. But then some games might require you to have more interactions. Like you might get a hit and that might not lead to sudden death or anything. You got to stay in the match a little bit longer. So it depends on the game. But in terms of like the players, they all, well, not all of them. Like, all right, let me look at Justin Wong, right? He has a great reactions, very clever and very patient. That's the thing that really sets him apart from everybody else. A lot of people is that he's patient. He will do the most minimal, boring or perceived boring thing to do, and to frustrate people, to get them to make, you know, a bad read or something. But then you got players like Alex Valle who are constantly in your face doing something to get you to do something. So it's a total opposite end of the spectrum to get you to be frustrated by something. But if you're well-rounded and you're used to dealing with both styles, then you can play against it and still, like, you know, are in there, and then you're forcing them. But it's still like you got to be clever. You got to know the game. You got to know the tendencies of players, and also like picking your spots and then playing the risk reward. How much health do you have right now? Where the clock's at? Where your positioning is? What buttons they're using? When they're using the button? Are you able to get them to start reacting a certain way? Like it's all this stuff that comes into play, and the matchup of the characters that they use. So it's more than just like, yeah, we can play like conservative and make sure, like, you know, don't take any bad risks or whatever. But sometimes in tournament, things just don't go well, and you got to play outside your comfort zone just to get back in there. So then you could to make it. But you can also play a way to where, all right, this is for sure going to work all the time, as long as like you're just on point and you don't do anything like outside of what you're supposed to do. You don't overextend, and you just play with your resources the way you're supposed to, then everything should go well.
One thing I want to ask about the community, the general scene in fighting games, and I thought you'd be the perfect person to ask, even though your haters will say you'd be the worst person to ask, which is, this is one thing I found really weird as an outsider. Again, I knew the games, but I hadn't seen what the scene was like. I'm coming from my own space. I'm over in Europe, etc. Right. One thing I was shocked when I found out in fighting games is I remember seeing the games. I'm thinking it's fighting games. I'm thinking people are going to arcades, or by the way, someone might beat you up in real life if you fuck with them and talk shit. Also, I saw all the pop-offs, people talking shit. I saw all this hip-hop culture. I was amazed, bro, when I found out that like it's another esport where everyone's super woke and they cancel everyone if they say anything they think so. Yeah, what? Exactly. Like I was expecting it to be the opposite. I thought it'd be like UFC culture and all like fucking super masculine and stuff. Can you explain this to me? What's the deal? Like it's kind of a bit like I've heard people trying to fuck with a lot of people and try and cancel them, right?
Yeah, so like I will say some things are definitely like first off, I don't think canceling is real, but it's it's just blackballing really, because you're like, well, I'm not gonna let you do this or do that or whatever. So it's like going to a club and the bouncer says you can't get in.
Yes,
it's
that's a good analogy.
So as long as whoever holds the power of doing whatever, I mean, they have control over that. So they're technically, these are all still private events. So you can't like piss off the owner of the restaurant. So it's like that. There's rules and regulations and shit. So what I say is just try to like be kind to people and shit. But I ain't saying be kind like blindly and be stupid like someone's being an asshole to you, and then you got to be like, oh no, no. I'm talking about like, I respect you, you respect me, you respect my boundary, I respect your boundaries. We're just here to play games, and that's it. Don't disrespect me. Don't say nothing. Like that's not of my person. Like if it's how I'm thinking in the game, how I'm playing, if I lost to somebody or some shit like that or whatever, yeah, go have at it, talk shit. But when you start talking about how somebody looked, their sex, all that shit, no. Like this is people do that online because they don't have to worry about the repercussions in person. But I don't think somebody should do that, period. Like I don't want to talk about the way somebody looks. Honestly, I don't go at somebody until they go at me. And I don't even feel good about it when I do, even though I might let it out at that time. Like later on, I'm just like, this is not how I want to be. So like, as far as like the canceling and shit and the woke shit, I would say this one thing about the woke shit. So I hate like how it got, the word woke got so diluted, because at first it was like just to raise awareness to like what black people go through in America and what they deal with. But then it's like it got taken by all these other movements that latched onto it. And then everything that black people were trying to talk about and do or whatever was like thrown to the side, and everything else took a forefront with it. So there's that thing that people don't acknowledge too. But then like they're also woke will, I guess, be doing too much of how like they're just coming at people like,
and they're overbearing, right? They kind of you have to be their way all the highway, right? It's kind of how it is.
Like if you want to get people to like you can't be divisive where it's like, oh no, you're not allowed to exist, you're not allowed to make money, you're not allowed to provide for yourself, you got to be in the worst state. Like what the fuck is that? You don't make friends with that shit. So I think because then there's another side, because I know as people are looking at that and they don't see the part where there are people who are like kind of like struggling or whatever they're going with, but it's the way they're supposed to present it too. And I'm not saying, and I don't want somebody to look at this and be like, oh, what are you saying? That I shouldn't exist? Or what? No, I'm not saying no shit like that. I'm just saying that like on all sides, you can't be abrasive.
No, I'm with you. But it's weird. As someone who's old school, maybe this will help. I think one of the worst things about that type of mentality, which you know, it isn't about games, it's actually a wider social thing in every space right now, in media, music, whatever, normal life. One of the worst parts of that is I think it's anti the esports ethos. Because in the early days, mate, when me and you would just go into tournaments where there was no fucking money and you do it for fun, at the time, like you said before, the coolest thing was meeting all the people. It wasn't about what divides us. It was about the thing that keeps us together. It's like that we're all into this game. We're all into games, he does this, we're all trying to be the best, etc. So I feel like the worst thing about it is, I'll give you the analogy. If in my community in Counter-Strike, there's someone who I think's an idiot, he's always wrong and always a shit. Yeah, he's an idiot, but he's my idiot. You know what? He's part of my community too. If you came with that guy, I'd be like, fuck off. We're all in Counter-Strike together. So I feel like in a way, the worst part is that it's a way to, like you said, to cut people out or to say they don't matter or they don't exist anymore, right?
Yeah, I think there needs to be like a better common ground, because I like, for example, recently I see a lot of shit going on FGC Twitter, people saying different stuff, and some people, I'm not gonna name names, are in the wrong with how they're going about things, and they're attaching themselves to stuff because they're trying to hide behind a real issue that they got with somebody else or another party, which is not cool. And then other people that might be doing something, they'll attach themselves to whatever they're doing, and it kind of dilutes what they're doing and their message because what that other person or other entity still got going on, which is not cool. And me being somebody, I'm real as fuck. I'm like totally like, no, I'm not. There are some things you just don't fucking do.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And like, these are things you have to answer to God for, like the stuff I'm thinking about. But I don't think leading with insulting people and shit, especially people you've been knowing for a long time, like over 20 years and stuff, is the way to go about shit. And I'll be seeing a lot of that. And then I see like, you know, certain people getting canceled because they had like accusations on them that didn't have the correct or right amount of evidence for people to really like talk or think about it.
Okay.
And they jumped the gun on some stuff. And then they're like, oh, we want to cancel. But then, okay, for example, I think if, say, an incident happens, but it's not at an event, I don't think we should.
It's more for the police at that point in time, right? Yeah, it's not for us to figure out. The police
not the event.
Yeah.
If that shit happens at the event, though,
yes,
then you can't come back no more. It's it. Like that's how I feel. I feel like
that's fair.
Everybody's supposed to get that level of grace. You can't sit here and be like, oh, well, I got in a fight at home, so hey, I'm not allowed to go to tournaments anymore. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, you don't know what was going on. You wasn't there. Like, whatever the report could say or something, people lie. Why? I don't know why people act like everybody is super honest, but then they know because they don't be super honest. It's like picking and choose. We can't pick and choose on doing stuff. I don't like that. So, personally, if I was running FGC, I would ban everyone for like basically a one more shot type thing, where it's like you do something else, it's over. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not in control of that. I'm just saying what I would do. But there are definitely like certain people and certain ways or certain people who are totally like I would totally keep banned forever. But there are some like I think are redeemable. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm just saying like this is how I feel about it.
I mean, put it this way: there's a big difference between saying something stupid in a tweet and beating someone up at an event for no reason. Like that, those should be obviously they can't be on the same scale.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, like the overreacting on tweets. But I think if people are just deliberately on purpose saying like the most evil shit to people for no reason, like it's hard to look past that. Like, yeah, you could always ask for forgiveness, but it's like, come on, man. Once you become like a grown adult and you know what and what not to say to people and what is not even necessary to say to people. So that's how I look at it. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to be a good person, whether they're steered wrong or not. There are some people that actively choose to be assholes, though. I mean, so, but yeah, I just hope everybody can like, at the end of the day, and I'm speaking for like the shit that I've seen on Twitter specifically, like I hope people can like, I don't know, just patch things up and like move forward or something, because it's gotten real ugly. And I don't know, it sucks because everybody has their way that they think, and they're like, I'm stuck in this, and this is how I feel about this, and fuck that. I'm like this person, I'm cool on that person, I'm cool on that, whatever. And I get that, but man, it's hard because some people dig holes for themselves.
Oh, of course,
and it's hard to get them out. So I know I'm not going to do that. I'm not trying to like disrespect nobody or anything. I mean, like in game, if somebody sucks though, if they're a scrub, I fucking hate scrubs. I would call somebody a scrub in a second. And you think like a scrub, all right. But like, yeah, man, that's my favorite slur. I mean, it ain't even a slur though, but I'm just calling like it's really a scrub is really just a willfully ignorant player. Like, you know the better tactics and shit, but you choose to be like this. Like that's just all that is.
By the way,
and that's something you can improve on.
Yeah. One thing I thought is interesting, you touched on it earlier, is a lot of people, I actually expect old school people to be like that question I asked earlier, like, is everything dumbed down? Has the game gotten worse? Because part of it is nostalgia, but also there is an aspect where they have made certain things easier, like we're taking out very, very high skill level things to make the average player not feel bullied, etc. in the game. Right? You actually sounded, I was quite surprised, you sound very positive about the future of games though, and the way the devs are going and how many choices there are to play, etc.
Because, all right, man, I'm looking back, like, I whenever I think about the now, I'm always thinking about how things were. And I remember getting on AOL just to fucking get on the internet and dial up and stuff. And not having people to play with on a regular basis to then having people to play with on a regular basis, but the net code's not good. And then having a good net code and having good people to play with on a regular basis. And I can stream it and record it and upload it. You know how hard it used to be to like record and upload something? Yeah. We had to get a VHS, convert it to like DVD or whatever, then upload it somehow. It was so much stuff. Now you just phone or OBS or capture from your console, or like it's super easy to do this stuff now. So like everything that I've wanted to do in different years and stuff, but couldn't because it wasn't like set up correctly. It's like now I'm like living in a virtual arcade. That's what it feels like. Because at any time of the day, I can play with anybody in any game that I want. Like how can you get better than that? Like to me, that's like mind blowing because I have to wait on the weekend just to play with somebody. And then you got to wait the whole week, but now I can play whenever I want. So there's that part. And then the development part where developers, clearly they have the funding and the backing and support and shit to keep doing this. So they're going to keep making games, keep producing stuff. I remember a time when we didn't know we were getting another Street Fighter game. Street Fighter 3 was out, and the joke was Street Fighter 4 was going to come. And we never thought it was going to come. We were just like, yeah, Street Fighter 4 is going to come out. Or we'll say, yeah, well, if Street Fighter 4 comes out, I'll do this. Like, making it seem like how people would talk about the Millennium 2000 before the year came out. It's like, yeah, I'll do it in 2000. Like, it was so long away. But then the game came out. And then we have Street Fighter 5. And then we have Street Fighter 6. And then we had a Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We never thought we would get that. And even Mortal Kombat 9, when that came out, we never thought like we would get that. So it's a lot of things that have happened. Like the Dragon Ball FighterZ. We never thought we would get another Dragon Ball fighting game that was like high level like that. And then Sparking Zero came out. Never thought another Tenkaichi game would come out. So to me, I'm thinking like the sky's the limit. The creativity is really high. There, at least even if the games are like dumbed down and easier, it is keeping things interesting. Because to me, as a person that likes to embrace challenge, I like trying to overcome the design of the game or become the best at the design of the game. It's because it's just, to me, it's just fun. I mean, like, what else? Because we can't play the other games, and this is the one that's here. So, and then I'm just playing, like, right now, the best, or the games that I like the most. Like, Virtua Fighter is going to be out in a month, and I'm playing Sparking Zero. I'm playing Tekken. I get on Street Fighter. Like, I'm playing Marvel. There's so many. I have a lot of games. I'm only mentioning the ones that I can think of right now, but that's just how it is. It's so much to do. There's a tournament every day. I used to have to wait for like once a month to travel. Now there's literally a tournament every day online. Netcode's good. I mean, some of the connections might be whatever, but honestly, I'll take those connections like that over having to drive to the airport, get in the airplane, in the airport, go through TSA, sit in the airplane for hours, and then my body is off whack, and I get to the hotel, and the hotel pillows are ass, and I'm trying to sleep. I can't sleep. I can't get the room temperature to be right. Then there's no food. Like, these are all things that happen regularly when you go to a tournament. So instead, I'm at home. Or if I lost, cool. I'm going to the refrigerator, get something to eat, or I go to my favorite place to eat. Or if I win, it's like, okay, well, I'm still doing the same thing. I don't have to go outside my comfort zone, and I'm still able to play against some of the best players in the world. I can play people in Europe if I want to, and the connection's good in different games. So, yeah, it's hard to not be positive when you can acknowledge all that stuff. It's because I see it players be complaining all the time, like, oh, this game is that. This, I'm like, y'all don't realize how good we have it right now. That you can tell the devs, hey, this shit is ass in the game, and they'll fix it. But don't be overbearing with it and ask for too much, because like it might change the game too much, or might change something that don't need to be changed, and then the aspect of the game that you like might not like it anymore.
Right, I understand this is a ridiculous question, but it's just one that people always will want to ask. Yeah. If you had to pick who is the GOAT of fighting games, just based on the games you've played, maybe, who would you pick? Who's the greatest player ever to play fighting games, do you think?
Man, see, my threshold is different because as you said, I'm a purist. So I look at like different aspects, like how did this person win? Like I'm very meticulous about this. Like even looking at basketball players, who the greatest is in that. For me, I have like other people have said like Jordan is 1A and Kobe is 1B. I'm the same way like that. But sometimes I'll be thinking, man, maybe Kobe is better than Jordan because of certain feats. Like I look at, all right, so it's more than just what you won, is how you won and who you beat. So Kobe on his last year out was able to beat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors team that had the best record. He was able to beat them in like his last year. And he also got 60 points in a game in his last year. But he also has some of the best wins as far as like in his championships because he's fought the hardest teams with the most Hall of Famers and all that stuff.
Sure.
More than anyone else. And by himself with the least amount. So for me, that puts him as like, yeah, probably the greatest winner because I don't think Jordan's competition was as hard, but it was hard. But like Kobe's, I think, was a different level. But I think Jordan's mastery was higher. But Kobe beat better competition.
Right.
But so when I look at fighting games, I think the same way. I'm like, all right, who did they play? Who was their hardest competition, or if they even had it, and what game was it, and when was it? Like I think about all that stuff. So, and also how they won. Like, okay, I'm just using this example, but like say players in Japan, right? Would they be as good if they didn't live in Japan?
It's a valid question, yeah.
Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, would they be as good? Because they have like the dense population. They can play against other great players all the time and stuff, and get that practice in that community. But what if they didn't have that scene and they only had like a couple friends or something and that weren't that good? Would they be able to win? And I'm like, well, I was able to do it without a scene like that in different games, but I'm not saying I'm the GOAT, I'm using myself as an example. And I mean, I don't really have a one particular person as a GOAT, but I'll say like they are on the ballot. Like Ryan Hart has one of the most difficult paths to his championships. And I'm not just talking about like people he beat. It was like his circumstances. Like I think he said he was homeless.
Yeah, something like that, right?
And think about doing that and practicing. I mean, I'm sure you're using this stuff as escape, like games and stuff, but still like being able to be as he's a real stand-up dude, articulate, smart as hell, everything, like 10 out of 10 down the road, right? And able to show up and not just win, but win in the most entertaining fashions, like doing the most insane combos and stuff. Like here's a clip where he did his own Daigo parry versus Justin. And so I'm always impressed by Ryan Hart, like his top rock skills when he's breakdancing, just everything, man. He can speak Japanese too. Like I'm very impressed by Ryan Hart, like all his game knowledge and just experience and his philosophy and stuff, and just how he's able to eloquently talk about fighting games and stuff. That is, he's in my first ballot for that.
Oh, that's well explained. Yeah. Right. At the end of this interview, Perfect Legend, do you have a message for people? Do you want to shout anyone out or say hello?
Yeah, I want to shout out God, Jesus Christ. I want to shout out my family, of course, my friends, my Discord community, everyone that comes by the stream. You for having me on here. All the like early esports. I know I mentioned Complexity and Jason Lake earlier. I don't want there sound like there was like bad blood or nothing. I was just saying that like in that situation, it was kind of like rocky because like what was going on. I didn't want to like. Whenever some kind of conflict, like what was going on at that time, I didn't want it to be like a detriment to our relationship or anything like that. Okay. And it's just if I don't feel right in my gut about something and I don't want to rub nobody the wrong way, I'd just rather not engage with it. That's just how I was. So I was like, well, I don't want to join the team and then be like, I don't want to cause any kind of friction or nothing like that. But it was cool being on the team, actually. Like, just getting to hang out with the Counter-Strike guys. Oh, by the way, you write like this. So I played Source with the CS guys on the team. And I played a scrim with them versus Optics. and I got a few kills. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I was kind of nice, but like, yeah, it was fun, like hanging out with the team and stuff, going to team dinners. We used to work out sometimes and stuff, and just like going to different restaurants like Islands and the Cheesecake Factory is down the street. But it was a nice way for me to experience the professional team life, like if I was on a pro team or something, because we lived in the Marina Del Rey apartments right there, and we were there for like a whole summer. So it's like it was a fun experience. And then I remember I was really nervous for Evo the first year, and I was talking to Jason, and I called him on the phone, just talked to him about it. And he started singing this bullfrog song or something. He said he used to sing this song. I forgot his name. I think it was Jeremiah was a bullfrog or something. But he started singing this to his OGCS team before they had to play because he was like super nervous or something, just to get them to laugh. But he's a real. I'm just saying he's a real good dude. I love that dude. Yeah. I just want to make that clear because Jason Lake. I appreciate him like basically hit me up and being one of the first to believe in me at the time, because like I wasn't a world champion at that time. I won Evo East, and then he like called me up. He's like, "Hey man, you want to be on Complexity? We're gonna do X, Y, and Z and stuff." So that was really cool. I meant to go to DreamHack and see him just to see him because I just miss seeing him, but I didn't get to go because that was when all the flights and stuff were messed up for the DreamHack, the most recent DreamHack in Texas. That was supposed to happen. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. And shout out to DreamCon, all the guys at RDC. Like this year, I was able to commentate there for Tekken, Dragon Ball, and Mortal Kombat, and it was really fun. Like I had a really great time. That was one of the best events I've ever been to in my whole life. Like I recommend anybody like either tune into the event or show up to the event. It's one of the best events ever. Like anime, gaming, pop culture, entertainment, all just in one. It's one of the best experience ever of my life.
They say no man is an island. We all need people who've got our back. And supporting me and the content on my channel are the following people: Matt Pugnaccio Racula, The Concept, Animosity, Bane Diesel, Ben Glass, Jason, Jensen Go, Tosh, Toucan, and you know it. Always a special thanks goes up to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Do you want to ask a question for my video AMA? Do you want to take part in one of those lengthy discussions where I talk about whatever topics are on your mind? Do you want teasers, find out who the upcoming guests are, or maybe even to suggest a guest or a topic for my content? If any of those perks or others catch your fancy, well, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today, where? In the Patreon link in the description box below.